You've decided you want a pool and you've got a pool design. Now, what is it that you're going to do for the patio and pool deck? Today, we're sharing our best tips for how to best design a patio and pool deck around your pool. Some of the most important tips to consider when designing a patio or pool deck include spatial need awareness. When communicating with your designer, it's incredibly important to determine the amount of spatial needs you'll have. Your designer is going to ask you a few key questions, such as, how many people do you intend to have using the space at a time? What types of spaces do you intend to need in this space? Some examples include lounging space, outdoor kitchen space, maybe table and chair space for eating, maybe an additional relaxation space. Those spatial uses are very relevant within that strategy of spatial functionality. The last thing to consider with your spatial strategy comes down to the opposite end of the spectrum. Will there be any limitations from a legality perspective on either the size of those hardscape surfaces or how close they are in proximity to the boundaries of your property? Don't know the answer? That's okay. That's why you work with an expert. If you don't know if any of those limitations will come into play, we'll help you get those answers so you arrive at an excellent, well-designed space. An interesting fact about patio paver materials is all patio materials have the ability to either absorb heat or reflect heat. This is called the Solar Reflective Index, or SRI for short. Interestingly enough, the higher the solar reflective index value, the cooler it is on your feet because it reflects the heat back. The lower the value, the more the material absorbs. So when you're determining what types of materials to use on your patio or pool deck, it's incredibly important to discuss things like the solar reflective value. Some key tips and tricks on choosing products that are comfortable and cool on your bare feet if it's around a pool deck are low SRI value materials. Some of the lowest temperature, coolest on your feet materials we can recommend are travertine, ivory or cool colored concrete pavers. The smaller the paver, the cooler it is on your feet, or ivory or cool colored porcelain pavers. Those are our top 3 suggestions for cool underfeet pool decks. Another alternative is a concrete epoxy treatment on bare concrete called Cool Deck or a similar product. While that does offer the coolness under feet, it does not offer the durability and lasting beauty that we can recommend fully. Some products to avoid if you're basing your decision solely on the comfort features of your patio and pool deck are bare concrete. Concrete by itself absorbs heat and can get incredibly uncomfortable on bare feet and dog paws. Dark colored pavers and dark colored porcelain. Those are the things that I would avoid on the major bodies of pool decks. They are okay for accent bands, but if you're talking about the comfort features of your pool deck, I would not invest that kind of money in something that's going to burn your feet constantly. Another key feature to consider when selecting materials for a patio or pool deck are salt and chlorine tolerance near the pool areas. Oftentimes, someone will pick a beautiful product only to discover later that it degraded over time because the product couldn't stand up to the abuse and wear and tear of the pool chemicals. So if you consider it on the front end, you're going to invest more wisely. Another patio and pool deck design feature that you should consider are shade options. Everyone talks about the material, they talk about the spatial use. What about the fact that sometimes people want to get a break from the full sun while they're out there enjoying time with friends and family? You can choose patio shade features that are simple, such as temporary things like umbrellas or sun sails, or you can get more complex and sophisticated with your shade options, which can be things like fixed roof structured, louvered roof pergolas, fixed roof pergolas, several of those types of options. But it should be discussed with your design professional when you're discussing a pool deck. Last but not least, this is one of my favorite tips when talking about pool deck design. That pool might be winterized for part of the year, but the patio is still visible. Because of that, it's incredibly important to design your patio and outdoor spaces to be beautiful even when you're looking out the windows in the middle of January or February. If you design vignettes properly and design the spaces properly, you enjoy them visually even when you're not sitting in the space. And that is incredibly important to maximize the enjoyment you get out of your outdoor spaces. Now that you've heard some of our favorite tips and tricks for how to design and implement the design for patio pool decks, it's important to work with a professional. If you need help in the Kansas City metro area with designing your patio or pool deck, or any of the outdoor living project, give us a call. We're happy to help.